Here we go.
Shoot.
Now I can go. I'll call to order the village board meeting for Monday, June 9th at 7 PM.
So actually, my apologies. I forgot to mention this. We have to open a public hearing first
Oh,
and then see if there's anybody
okay,
coming to speak then.
Before I do this.
When everyone's done talking, yes, then you
Okay.
close the public hearing and call to order today.
all right, so we have a public hearing. Does anyone want to speak? I guess, there we go. I
And just for the record, this is a public hearing regarding application by Keith Schuler to rezone property at 750 Main Street. Just-
Yep, thank you. I read that after you said that. So we're worried if somebody wants to or has a problem with it.
What is
If
it for?
somebody wishes to speak, they're rezoning the property.
To what?
From B2 or M1,
What is it?
I believe.
Yeah.
I
Someone tell us what it
believe
is.
it's currently M1 and it's being rezoned to B1. See, now you're asking me to.
Never was from the beginning.
The house is M2. And then, the garage or the portion we would like to purchase would be B1.
Yeah. So they have to rezone it because they would like to split off, because Brady would like to split off a portion of his property to transfer to them. But because it's a parcel with a accessory building and no primary building,
Hold on one second. Doesn't mean over even talking about the old hardware. store.
Yep, nope,
The
I do,
apparatus
I do know where you're
the
talking, yep,
garage that's back, be on the house that's back there.
okay,
He wants, we bought, you say we bought, open lot in the back.
Okay.
He bought the building. Me and the wife own the house that's back there.
Yeah.
Garage is off to the side, you wanna.
Make it all one.
Yeah, make it all one, the house, put that garage and go with the house, take it off the hardware store and put it.
so it's on the hardware, the garage is on the hardware store, and now you want it to be on the house.
right?
Yes.
Got it,
But
Roger.
because of zoning laws, they cannot, Brady cannot split that property off. Unless it's done at the same time as it's attached to another property. And they can't do that unless both properties are zoned the same.
Got it,
It was a complicated situation. This was the simplest way to resolve it. So
okay,
by rezoning their property, Brady can do a certified survey map to split the two parcels and at the same meeting attach the parcel to theirs.
got it,
And that will avoid any of the complications with the zoning.
okay, and so basically, we're just listening to the public hearing if somebody had an opposition to it or is for
If
it,
any,
or.
not to what, the only thing the public hearing is about rezoning the property from M2 to
B1,
B1. If anyone had any concerns with that zoning change, that's what this public hearing is.
right,
So what's M2 and what's P1?
Manufacturing is the M1
M1.
and B2 or B1 is it's basically retail business.
yeah, manufacturing
Um,
business.
And after the public hearing, the board will have opportunity to get into any questions the board might have under the agenda item for the rezone ordinance. This is just take public comment if there's anyone here to speak to it.
So you.
I
can-
see nothing,
Yeah, so.
I hear
you can-
nothing.
You can take a motion to close the public hearing.
All right, I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll second.
Oh, goodness.
2 seconds. Works.
Motion's been made, all in favor? Or, I mean. I'm gonna stop now. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Oppose. Okay, that was. Not my greatest. Now can I open the meeting?
Yes, now.
Okay, so now I will open the village board meeting for June 9th at 7 PM. Pledge of allegiance. If you all can stand, please.
Pledge allegiance to
the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Roll call of officers.
We have Andrew Bartley, Roseanne Guide, Chris Heisler. I'm sorry, Sarah Heisler, Chris Clear, Rose Sowers, and Kevin Schiller present.
We're on fire today. All right, we did the public input, right? That
No,
was,
that was for a public hearing.
oh, sorry. All right, public input. Does anybody have anything they want to say?
I just have a couple quick things for the fire department. Back at the joint fire village and town meeting, we had said we were gonna give 10,000 back for the light pack.
Yep.
Financial assistance program, we received some money, so. Vicky, it was easy for us, because we have to create a new account for that, and we'll get audited, so. It was easy for us to submit you a check. For the $4,707.
Yep. Okay,
So that'll just go back to the village. I'll give that to you after the meeting. And then in the packet, I had that mutual aid agreement that's coming forward. Did that have to be approved tonight by the board?
no, actually, our board does not approve that because that's an agreement between the fire departments and
Even though it's signed by the village president?
Brad has to address that. It's an agreement with the fire departments. It doesn't have any, so I don't know why the village of Belgium would be signing it. There's nothing that mentions the village.
Yeah,
I want right now.
Yeah, I guess not knowing the backdrop to this, if,
So it's
but
basically
Vicky's
the-
correct,
It's
it's,
the same mutual agreement that's been in place for many years. It just changes Mequon and Steensville Fire Department to Southern Ozaki and Saukville, Grafton Fire Departments to Ozaki Central.
so we're talking about mutual aid versus the MOU that's on the agenda for tonight? Okay, gotcha.
Mutual aid between the fire
Okay.
departments, the agreement.
Sure. Yeah, I'm aware of that document that has been circulated. It's not on the agenda though for tonight's
No.
meeting.
No, because there's,
I know, I think,
I don't know the history of it, but there's nothing in that document that cites the village of Belgium. So why would our president sign something that doesn't list us at all?
yeah, it's a good question. I've seen it in the context with other municipalities that in Ozaki County that have been presented that, and those are ones that have their own, police departments and fire departments. The mutual aid side of it is, I think we'll have to, just look at that and possibly bring it back next week, but Vicky might be right. I'm not sure why the village of Belgium put it in, although I think what they're trying to do is most likely because of, the scope of this is to allow for assistance in the event, it is needed. So if in theory, the sheriff's department is doing some work in the village, and on a law enforcement side of it and calling in, I'll have to look at it from that, side of it. So, it's nothing that will have to get approved tonight. I do believe there's also something that in the past that, not many communities like were adopting this. My recollection is, that it was something that even this document refers back to an earlier date. But I didn't look at it from the village of Belgium standpoint yet. So
Okay.
I'll do that and have it for the next meeting if necessary.
I can forward that to you.
Okay, thanks. You have the original? Like, I know the original's been circulating around.
This is a draft of, it's in draft right
Okay,
now, where they had it sent out to all the fire
Okay.
departments to disperse to the municipalities and then.
okay.
Uh,
So it's
Basically,
strictly the
most-
fire department. I've seen one that's also more for the law enforcement, for police departments too.
this is distributed to the fire departments. Yeah, but the last page, they have all the mayors and town.
Sure.
government and
Okay.
village residents assigned.
If you could forward that to me, I'll look at it.
And then one other thing I do have, I don't know if I'm supposed to talk about this now or later, but with the memorandum of understanding and assignment of a person for the EMS board. For the village board.
Why don't you wait till the agenda item on that one?
Okay.
Because that'll be the session.
Okay, very good, I'll wait for that.
All right. Is there any more public input? I'm gonna go with no. All right, we'll move on to 3. The presentation of financial statement from Baker Tilly. You're up. Wendy.
Well, good evening, everyone. Vicky's got up on the screen the handout In front of you, you do have the bond document, so the audited financial statements and the reporting and insights. But the document that's up on the screen goes through both of those, at a much higher level. So we'll use that. So, if you go to the next slide, first slide presents the audit results. The objective of the audit was taking opinion. We've done that. Similar to the past, we've included it in your audited financial statements, and it is a clean, unmodified opinion, same type of opinion you've received in the past, and the highest level of assurance that you can obtain from us as your auditors. Just one quick comment also, I did with management of the village and the utilities, so we have gone through the documents that we have before you in much more detail than what I will present tonight. Moving on to the next slide, this is where we get into some very high level financial information. I'm just going to touch on the general fund in a bit more detail, and then we'll go through the rest of the funds relatively quickly. The first column then, again, the general fund. This is the village's day-to-day operating fund. It contains most of the activity for the village from a day-to-day perspective. When we look at this in comparison to budget. So the column that is presented there is actual. So the actual revenue was $1.77 million. That compares to a $1.758 million budget. So your revenues were over budget for 2024 by roughly $12,000. Lots of over and under. Your largest portions, building permit revenue came in over budget. Investment income came in over budget by roughly $37,000. So a very positive results there. Your miscellaneous category came in over budget, and that's where the Main Street property rent was included. There was sale of capital assets included in there. And you also had some insurance recovery that flowed through there for the light pole that was hit on Main Street. However, you also had one category that came in under budget, and that was your intergovernmental, and that was roughly a $99,000 grant that was anticipated in pursuing at the time of budget and ultimately didn't get pursued. So overall, the net impact positive $12,000. When we look at the expenditure, 1.706 of actual, that compares to a $1.818 million budget. So you were under budget in expenditures by roughly $112,000. So again, a favorable result. A couple items that contributed to that, Public Works came in $30,000 under budget, and that was in wages and some maintenance categories. And then ultimately, the largest contributing factor was within your capital outlay. The community park came in $73,000 less than budget. So overall, positive revenue variance, positive expenditure variance. You added almost $65,000 to fund balance. And when you put together your 24 budget, you actually budgeted to use roughly $60,000. So you had a positive swing of $125,000 roughly. So a positive end result. The general fund ended at $714,000 of fund balance. You can see on the screen, I've broken that out into a couple different, or actually 4 different components. The first one is non-spendable. This is a small portion that relates to some personal property tax and prepaids. So it's cash you don't have. So we pull that out. There's a restricted portion that this is your stormwater fees that you've collected. So that $97,000 relates to those. You have a portion of the fund balance that's assigned, $18,000. And that relates to a small portion of that is used to balance the 2025 budget. And then there was some money set aside for the Badger book purchase. And then there was some proceeds from the sale of the boom truck. So those monies have been earmarked in that category. The remaining balance, the $595,000, that is really your working capital, your contingency, money that you have on hand for unforeseen expenses. That represents 35% of your operating budget. Very strong. We typically look for that to be somewhere between 10 and 25. So that gives you some flexibility in having to borrow or anything of that nature if there's something that does come up, capital purchase or one type item need. So again, very positive results in the general fund. Moving on to the next categories then, again, going through these a bit more quickly. The next comes your American Rescue Plan Fund. If you remember, those are federal monies that came in post-COVID. Got it in two, you received it in two tranches over the 2-year period. The $256,000 that is there was the remaining portion you had received, which you spent in 2024. The $270 represents expenditures, and those were for the Silver Beach Road and court replacements. So you used up the fund balance. That fund balance has zero. That fund has zero fund balance at the end of the year, and for 25 that will go away. No longer exists. The next column is your debt service fund. So you levy a tax and you make principal and interest payments on village debt. Keep in mind, this has nothing to do with the utilities. This is just village activity. That fund had zero fund balance at the end of the year, and typically that's what you expect unless you're trying to build some reserves for a future balloon type payment. The last column is your capital projects fund, $181,000 of revenue. Most of that, $134,000, was a transfer that came out of the general fund and went into the capital project fund to fund projects. You also had roughly $29,000 of investment income and some park donations of $18,750. You spent $99,000 on the boom truck. Added $82,000 to fund balance and ended the year at $578,000. So those are monies that you have earmarked or set aside for capital project needs. On the next page is the remaining two funds of the village, and we talk about the water and sewer. We talk about these a bit differently because they follow a different accounting methodology. When we look at these, we talk net position versus fund balance. So these numbers are very big, but you have to remember that included in these numbers are your infrastructure, your capital assets. So they're very big because it includes water mains, water towers, all of that, your sewer system, all of that is included in there. So when we look at the water utility, you'll note a change in net position of $128,000. That compares to a positive increase in net position of $61,000 in the previous year. A couple reminders, the water utility had a rate increase that was effective at the end of 23. So you had the full effect of a rate increase, a small decrease in consumption, but still added over an additional $30,000 in revenue in your water utility. Expenses were down roughly $54,000 in both contracted services and depreciation. So again, added $128,000, ended the year at $5.2 million of fund net position. Of that, 1.1, almost 1.2 million is cash that is sitting within the water utility. From a cash flow perspective, which there is no cash flow in your statements, essentially a break even year for the water utility, added a couple $1,000s. But again, ended the year at almost 1.2 million. A small portion of that 1.2 million is restricted, roughly 80,000, and that's for impact fees. The sewer utility, similar situation, 382,000 change in that position. That compares to a $135,000 increase last year. So again, saw improvement in the net position. A couple comments there. Revenue was up, investment income was up 14,000 in the sewer utility. Also, sewer connection fees were up $20,000. Expenses were down 100,000. Again, in maintenance category and depreciation. So overall, added the 382 to net position, ended the year almost at 5.6 million. Of that, 1.46 million is cash. Roughly half of that though is restricted. 662,000 is restricted. There's an equipment replacement fund requirement for the DNR, so that portion comes out of that 1.4 million, so still roughly $800,000 of unrestricted cash in your sewer utility. So again, positive activity for the year in both of those. The last item that I've included on here is the reporting and insights document, which is the document you have before you with more of the solid green cover. Just a couple comments to make on this document. We share material weaknesses. We share any comments or recommendations that may come up as part of the audit process. And we also have some standard communication that we need to include in that document under our standards. Nothing unusual or unexpected included in that. There are two material weaknesses, the two bullet points there, one related to internal control environment. And there is the lack of segregation of duties, really around the payroll cycle, just don't achieve a full segregation where there's not the same person doing some portions of that, not unusual, unexpected, uncommon. Internal controls over financial reporting, we do become part of your internal controls because we do your financial statements. We also had a few material audit adjustments, again, not something new or different, just based on a cost benefit of having somebody on board to be able to complete a materially accurate statement is just not there. So nothing unusual there. Other comments and recommendations, we highlight some new governmental accounting standards, 3 new GASBs that will be effective for governments in the upcoming years, and we'll work with Vicki to make sure the village is in compliance with those when those are to be implemented. And then, as I noted, the last bullet point, there is a section in there that is our communications. We talk about estimates. We share if there were any disagreements. There is a table in there that summarizes the journal entries that we did of a material nature. But again, nothing unusual or unexpected within that report. Then lastly, I have included my direct line and my email address. Happy to talk with any of you in more detail, answer any questions you may have. But I'd also do my best to answer the questions you might have now.
You know, this is a book there.
Anyone? Great. Thank
That's
you.
all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we'll move on to the consent agenda items. I approve, make a motion to approve the consent agenda item.
I'll second.
Motion's been made and seconded.
I'm sorry, hold on.
Oh.
Switching between multiple laptops here. Who moved
Me.
and second by
Rose.
Rose? Thank you.
Any discussion?
Did you have any reports, other reports received? Marsh report?
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, you skip all the reporting, but let's finish this agenda item and then go back to the.
All right. all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion's been made and passed. Where are we? Oh, yeah, village marshal. We should have done that before Baker Tilly. Sorry, Leon. I do love you. I appreciate you. My bad.
Last month I issued one citation for somebody burning tires in the village. We got a citation. Some kids were way out and back and there were tires back there and fire department got called out, so they ended up getting a citation. And I had another complaint of a barking dog, which we taken care of, and I registered 2 golf carts in the month, so that was basically it.
Tires. All right. Now I can move on. It doesn't look like we have any unfinished business, so we'll move on to the new business. Conditionally approve alcohol license renewal for Belgium Plaza.
So it is a requirement by ordinance that anyone who is renewing any license, alcohol license, cannot have any outstanding past due debt to the village. That includes property taxes, utilities, other outstanding fees. They are currently delinquent on their property taxes. So they are aware of this. Their license does expire until June 30th. You can choose to approve this conditionally upon them paying those outstanding debts. The only question that I was not sure of, Brad, is how long would that conditional approval last, and or should they put a time frame on it before they would have to lose their license completely and come back?
Yeah, I mean, it would be for basically through effective June 30th, because there's a July 1st.
I was gonna say, they're still valid right now, from
Correct.
June 30th.
Yeah, so they would need to get that in prior to the next renewal term.
And if they don't meet it by June 30th, will they have to start the whole process of reapplying over, or can they conditionally approve it for whenever I'm just
I
want to
mean,
make sure we know what we're doing.
so that's good point of clarification. I mean, that'd be up to the board to the extent that you want to grant the conditional approval.
Mhm.
I guess that with that being said, then I would recommend that you put a limit on it at least a couple of months out before, not going any
Before
longer
we-
than that. And
yeah.
at which point they would just have to start the process all over, because I don't think that we should,
It's not gonna do anybody any
right,
good.
I mean, that publication notice and everything, was for June.
Yeah.
30th expiration, so, I guess I would recommend that you put a time limit on it, no more than a month or two out.
So we could conditionally say, yes, they can still sell alcohol or have their alcohol license until like August 31st or
No.
July.
We can't extend the time frame for the license. It expires at the end of.
Their license will
Okay,
expire if
at the end
they
of June.
Do not pay that. However, you can approve it you can do a conditional approval that if they were to pay it, say, July 15th, the clerk can then issue the license then, the new
Okay,
license.
got it.
Give them 30 days.
I think 30 days. I mean, it's coming. You're not, it's here.
new.
It's not new. It's not like it's sprung
Okay,
up on you.
to be fair, I do want to just clarify that.
Okay,
Last year, because in the past, Julie has always checked with me if they owed any utilities or anything else. I'm assuming she was checking with the county to see if there were any taxes, but I didn't know that. Teresa had only been here a couple months and did not know that, so they got away with it last year.
well, I guess they aren't gonna get away with it
No,
this year.
but I'm just saying, so they were caught somewhat unprepared this year by.
Mm,
Clarify that the board is aware of
Sorry, I'm
that.
30
There's a
days.
history
That's
with
it,
the,
30 days.
there is a history with the parties involved here.
That's,
And I certainly would not give them more than 30 days.
I think
I'm asking you to, I just wanted to make sure that you were aware that last year they were approved while they still had outstanding taxes.
sorry, not this year.
I think 30 days is more than fair.
I think you are correct. Who wants to make that motion?
I will make a motion that we conditionally approve the alcohol license for Belgium Plaza, contingent on their, making good on their, back taxes as of, July 31st. That's a month out, isn't it? No,
July,
it's more than a month out.
Do you want a month from today?
Uh-huh.
And that would be July 9th.
well, they're
I would say a month from expiration.
Yeah, so.
a month
so
from expiration.
That would be
So
July
that would be
30th.
July 31st then.
Okay,
That's my motion.
I'll second that.
motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Motion passed. Oh my. Approve a housing study request. Question mark.
So, the Ozaki Economic Development is working with a number of, with the municipalities. They've been talking to the county about doing a housing study for the whole county. It has not been done for a long time, probably 2009, I want to say maybe. The county would like to know if we would be willing to commit to put 500 toward that housing study, which by the way is going to cost many thousands of dollars. So they're asking for participation on a small level from the municipalities, and then the county would pick up the rest of it.
Potential benefit to the village?
Well, I mean, for example, we just did an amendment to our comprehensive plan, and the only thing we really tackled was our housing information, but without doing a full housing study,
So they're
we
gonna,
don't know what the needs are, so.
they're going to do the research for us.
Correct, so it would allow us, if we needed to, in our comprehensive planning going forward, if we needed to change some of our, guidelines for planning in the future.
So it's
So,
only gonna cost $500, where it could cost
which is
thousands
a
more.
very low
Yeah.
amount for this kind of study. I believe the city of Cedarburg just did one and spent in
Quite a
the
thousands.
5 digits.
Yeah.
At least.
Then I make a motion that the village contribute $500 towards the study with the understanding that we will receive a full document at the end of the study.
I'll second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
I,
Opposed? Motion passed. 6.3, approved zoning property change ordinance number 03-25.
So this is regard to 750 Main Street.
Got it.
This is the actual ordinance that would rezone the property again from M2 General Manufacturing District to B1 Business District.
And you could conditionally approve it based upon the land division or the property split, so if it come into effect at that time for recording purposes, just so you.
Although I'm not sure what the benefit of that would be. I mean, it's not a
It's
lot
only
of
as if it didn't-
property to have as manufacturing.
Yeah, I think it's, yeah, I mean, it's up to the board, but it's only sometimes in the event that the land division go through or there's a change of plans, then it would just stay as is, but the board doesn't want to stay that way.
is there any other properties in the village that would be so constituted? In other words, is this just truly a one-off here?
No, it's not uncommon for properties to be rezoned.
No, I don't mean
No,
to
no,
be so.
in the village, like,
you
there's
know,
not another
that the
situation where
village is
this
sitting
is.
on a different zone.
You know, again, right now, the garage is not on a separate property. The garage is a legitimate property right now. It is on the shed, whatever, is on with Belgium, with Brady's
Right.
property.
Yeah,
In order for them to transfer that portion of the property, this is a requirement. Because there's no legal way to do it otherwise.
I'm just saying there's really not, there's nothing else in the village that would have this issue.
Well, I don't know if there is or isn't.
Oh.
I mean, are there other properties that wanna split off part of their parcel and sell it?
I'm
to
just meaning
somebody?
like M2 to.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
just
yeah,
trying
yeah.
to get a sense of precedent here. I'm inclined to support this, no problem.
Yeah.
It's just that I don't wanna open up a can of worms for
Okay.
a bunch
Yeah,
of
this-
other.
So let me clarify. Properties can request zoning changes at any time for any reason. This is just one reason why they want a zoning change. They could ask for a zoning change because they wanted to put a retail business there.
Got it.
They could, you know,
Right.
they want to do something with the property that changes the zoning. I was
Right.
just gonna zoom in and show you what the zoning around there is.
And what we're trying to avoid, I believe, is the ordinance doesn't allow for, you don't want properties with multiple zoning districts. You know, you want to keep it.
Right.
Lot lines and such, so it's avoiding multiple zoning different zoning districts on one parcel.
Right, so as you can see here, red is B1,
Yep,
purple is M2. So moving this to B1 does not suddenly put a retail property out in the middle of nowhere.
Right.
Surrounded by other zoning or anything. It would be right zoned the same as the other properties in the area. So I
understand.
guess I don't want you guys to focus too much on what their purpose for doing it. I mean, yes, it's important, but. You know, they're asking for a rezoning,
Mhm.
you know, that's not really tied to why they want, I mean, I don't know. Brad, do you have anything?
No,
else to add?
it's not spot zoning, it's contiguous to other B1 zone, so it's.
No, like I said, I support it, so I'll make the motion that the village adopt ordinance number 03-25 ordinance rezoning property within the village of Belgium and amending the village zoning map.
I'll second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
I
Opposed? Motion passed. You have a garage.
I just got one question. So down, I mean, that garage older than a house. And say down the road, either we're gonna stick some money into it, fix it up, make it look nice. or can I ever tear it down and put a new garage in the same spot?
So,
If it meets the setbacks and all that.
so once you guys transfer the property and it becomes attached to your parcel, which it has to be created in one parcel because you can't have an accessory building on a parcel by itself.
Yeah.
So once that happens, you've got a house, you can have a garage with no problem. If you want to tear that current shed down and build another garage, yeah, that would be going through the regular building permit process.
Just.
Yeah.
You know, how much you stick in something or you fix it.
Right, yeah.
I mean, the walls, that thing are made out of trees.
It's got leaves coming out of the walls.
Yeah, it's old, but it's fine.
But to answer your question, yeah, you have to apply with the political setbacks and such. Yeah, yeah.
As long as you want to-
Correct.
As long as it's underneath our name and not the things, you know, fine.
Correct.
So let's do anything next, or is it?
Yes, this is just rezoning it, and the next step is that Brady's property has to have a CSM to split the parcel, and then when that comes to village board for approval at the same meeting, you guys will have to, Brad,
Are they doing a lot line adjustment or are you doing a certified survey map? Because of the joining, are you just moving the property line?
oh, whatever Brad says is the easiest way of doing it.
We
No, I
listen
mean,
to
in
Brad.
contiguous properties, you can, you know, you have a legal description drawn up for a lot line adjustment. I'm not sure, you know, the village can't give advice of, you know, what option to pursue. But that technically wouldn't be a land division as long as you can do it and meet all the.
They're
code requirements.
currently owned by two different parties, though.
Mhm.
I just want to make sure you know that.
Yes,
Okay.
yeah, but they're adjacent parcels. So you just want,
Yes.
you're kind of want, you're moving the lot line from one to the other, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah. So under our code for land division, if it's a lot line adjustment, you're not creating a new parcel.
Okay,
You could do that without a certified survey map, which is save expense. You still probably need a survey done for the legal description. And then, you know, I can't give legal advice about what type of conveyance, what type of deed you should use for that, but you don't necessarily have to go through a certified survey map process. But you still probably need a surveyor for that. So it's a lot easier. You don't need village approval if it's not a lot, if it's not a creating new lot, it wouldn't be.
okay, so they would just get a survey done and then file with the register of deeds?
Yeah, basically a deed conveyance for one parcel to another,
Okay.
yeah. Might wanna. Lawyer on the language. It can be done without a certified survey.
Trying to save you money.
I mean.
It's just.
Love to help, but I can't.
I'll give you both.
If you call him tomorrow at the office, he will be able to answer the question.
Right.
All right, 6-4. We need to appoint a board member to sit on the Fredonia Fire EMS Subcommittee Study Group.
So Fredonia has received a innovation grant and planning grant, sorry. And they are convening this study group to go over all of the fire EMS stuff in our area with the 4 fire departments, and they have asked for one board member from each municipality as well as all the chiefs to sit on this board for this grant.
And so this is separate from the
Correct.
board that Chris and I
This is
have.
for their innovation grant, planning grant that they have right now. And yeah, it's being spearheaded by their engineers, which is McMahon, the same engineers we use. That's all I know right now is that they're convening this committee. They have requested that we have one of our board members sit on it.
I guess from my standpoint, does it make sense to have anyone other than Rose or I? I mean, we're already knee deep in the eyeballs deep
That's
in
what I'm
EMS, like,
thinking. They had
one of us should do
suggested,
it.
yeah, they had suggested Dan, however, Dan's not here to say, so.
I mean, we can always make Dan do it.
Dan,
I don't care that Dan's not
well, and
here.
Dan he wasn't an appointed member, but he was also a participant in the.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was like
I
that.
just don't know, yeah, I mean, so whatever, you guys handle it however you want.
I mean,
I mean, you could-
do you think Dan, can we Can we offer it to Dan? Do you think Dan would be like the better choice? Is like he has more knowledge of these
Maybe
sorts of things?
if I can offer a suggestion, if you would like to recommend him, then why don't you make a motion to approve him to sit on it, and if he declines. pick a
Yep, we'll
different
come back
person
again.
as a follow. No, just pick someone else as the secondary right
Oh,
now, so
okay.
that they can move forward.
I mean, I don't wanna do that to Dan.
No, but you give him the choice, if you appoint him and he
Yeah.
says, no, he can't do it, then you've got the secondary
dare
ready to go.
I'll do it. We're gonna make Dan do it.
I dare him to say no.
I dare him to say no. Well, I'll make a motion to make Dan do it.
I just have one question
Yeah.
on this. Who's gonna be the manager or the administration part of this? Because I was never notified of the last meeting.
Okay,
There we go.
this
And
has
none of us
nothing
were.
to do with the EMS committee.
There was a meeting on
This
this.
is not the same thing. This is completely
a
new,
study
different
group.
committee.
Okay, but I was told that there was a meeting that they discussed this at.
No,
That they hired the chief from North Shore Fire Department.
well,
And I was.
And
not
none of us were
notified.
invited to that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
well,
So,
okay,
There's a lack of communication because I
Okay.
contacted Mr. Jenkins from Fredonia, and he told me that it's up to the Village of Belgium treasurer. I'm sorry, the Village of Belgium clerk to notify me.
I do have to echo
But
Pat's
I
concern
was
about
told
that.
I was told that the Fredonia, Village of Fredonia is managing this, so I'm concerned about the lack of communication I'm being told that I'm gonna be. We're gonna be consolidating or doing
no,
some
no,
type of a study, and we have not been contacted, neither Wabaca or Belgian Fire Chief has been contacted.
I think,
Fredonia has a grant to do innovation planning. They are asking for a board member to sit on this planning
I-
I
committee.
think we're
It has-
conflating two issues here. What you're saying, I think we understand. What we're kind of oozing into a different topic, which is that the EMS board itself feels that it's not being communicated with.
Okay, and I can explain that when we go on to the EMS stuff. This is a separate issue, and Pat, I can't say what they're gonna do with regard to the fire chiefs or who they're gonna notify or whatever. I had nothing to do with this. I was simply asked by Fredonia if our board would appoint somebody to sit on this subcommittee study group. They would like input from the other municipalities on possible ways they could innovate and receive grant funding for innovation.
So I guess then my request is to whoever the village nominates or appoints, whatever, as your representative to that, I would just request that there be a better, means of communication with this whole thing, because.
oh, I think so.
It's not being very well communicated on the EMS end, and I have concerns that it probably won't be
Yeah.
communicated well on this end. I'm not sure. That's why I'm asking who's the administrator of this project. I'm
Yeah,
assuming it's Village of, we don't have, they received the
The
grant.
village of
Yeah.
Fredonia.
But there's not been any communication to the other neighboring fire departments on that.
Okay, well, that's
And I know for a fact there was a meeting already.
what, well, they can have as many meetings as they want about their
So
grant.
the point person for this innovation project, would that be Chris, or would that be
We're gonna make it
Christoph,
Dan.
or would that, no.
Oh.
I know,
Christoph
no
or-
information about how they're going to organize this committee or what they're
Okay.
going to do with it. He simply asked if we would request that the board appoint somebody to this committee. If you
Who's
guys-
he?
Chris Jenkins, the administrator of the village of.
Because the grant was written off to the Department of Revenue as a joint North Shore. North Coxsackie grant between Belgium and Fredonia, Wabaca, listed off municipality, so.
And I can vouch for that because we saw at a class is when Pat found out that he was part of this. He had no idea. We were sitting in West
Yeah, I
Valley.
think that you should be complaining to Fredonia.
Yes,
Yeah, oh, yeah, I think that's,
not attacking you, you're just the messenger, and-
Yeah.
and we
That's
know.
all I'm
that.
asking is
It's
that.
just-
So Vicky, this,
As a representative, that
Yeah.
should be.
yeah, item 6.4, we're appointing a board member, you said that there's also gonna be the fire chiefs will be involved in this as well.
That's what he told me. I can pull up his email and read it to you exactly
No,
what he
that's
said.
fine,
He
I
said
just
that.
wanna make sure that, you know,
I was told that they are asking for one board member from each board. And that they were also going to be having all the fire chiefs.
so all respect to Dan Wolf and his EMS background, I think having too many hands in the pot at this point might not be a good thing.
Correct.
So for item 6.4, I would volunteer to
And I think that would be
sit on the board.
excellent, because
subcommittee.
again, you're much more.
Then I hear
detail
both, then I'm at
oriented
both
with it,
meetings,
yes.
I hear all the conversation, I can make sure
Yeah.
that. Fire chief is aware of. Anything
No,
he might not be aware of otherwise.
Yep.
I think having a third person in this mix might just make it more complicated, so. I would volunteer to do that.
Well, I'll make a motion to approve.
And I'll second that.
Do do you already have a existing motion on the table?
Yeah, I believe there was.
Oh, yeah, I
So
did recommend.
withdraw.
yeah. I'm gonna withdraw the one to make Dan Wolf
To make
in
it good.
charge. And now I'll make Chris Clear in charge.
And then I'll second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Motion passed. 6.5, consider Power Motion Enterprises request to add 650 Main Street to lease for an additional $300 per month.
Interesting.
I don't know anything more than that. Myself, he requested it. Danny went and talked to him. and
I
so-
went to talk to him to see what he wanted, and then I asked if he wanted
Yeah.
to build it. He said he wanted to do some storage in there, and he also wants to live in there, that's why. That place is not set up for living quarters, I mean, there's no shower in there,
Okay,
it's just a half bath, there's really no kitchen, there's a sink there.
is he getting kicked out? Is my question.
But he's not.
Oh.
He's not, he's in the back, but this is in the front space.
Oh.
So it's just not set up for an apartment building. There's no bedroom in there. I mean, you get to sleep in a room or whatever. It's not set up for apartment building. So,
So what we had discussed last week is not,
when we discussed it last week at our staff meeting,
we didn't
he
understand.
said it was for storage, so.
Okay, I thought maybe he didn't take all of it.
He didn't give me any, what he wanted to do with
He
it.
just said he's intentions on living there because he lives in Port, and if somebody wants to look at a boat or a motor, you don't have to travel from Port to Belgium, and then if the guy don't show up, I mean.
Okay, can we make it into something that he could be livable?
We would have to stick a lot of money in there.
Okay, that
Brad,
was my question.
To,
Did you talk to Roger? I asked you to.
I tried, I didn't get a hold of him. Brad,
Yeah, I mean,
talked to
if you
Brad.
recall, when the village acquired the property, we're concerned about, code compliance and that's, for it to be occupied for residential purposes, you would want, Roger to go through there and flag probably all the issues and why.
Right,
Certain rooms couldn't be used as a bedroom and the fact that it's, doesn't have a shower facility and other things, it'd be up to the board to give some direction to the staff or to Roger to say, look into it, or we're not interested in that type of use for that unit. If it's something else, I don't know.
Maybe you can get a number from a cop,
I mean-
to see what it cost them, what.
Well,
I mean,
If
because
he's
I'm
worried
thinking
about-
it's sitting empty.
Yeah.
Right, we're not making any money off of it. If it's a way that we can make money off of it and by
But how
making
much
it,
we want to spend in there.
right, well, that's what I
and
I
the
don't know
other
what it
thing
is.
too
It's
that I
made into an
I don't
apartment. Somebody's
understand
gonna
this,
buy it.
if he
Complicated.
wants to stay there
Yeah.
overnight just to sell somebody a boat, why did he even bother telling us? I mean, just stick a futon in it and just.
Yeah, I get it. But that's what I mean, it's like, how much would it cost
Under no
to?
obligation to make it into a
Yeah.
nice living space.
No, but my question about it is though, is what are we doing with it? It's sat empty for how long? What if we make it into a living space that someone can rent? Instead of it just
Oh,
sitting
that would be
empty
expensive,
without,
wouldn't it?
well,
Expensive.
that's
That
what
would be
we're,
very
that's what I'm
expensive.
saying though. I don't know.
And then so you could put all that money into it. I mean, I understand what you're saying, but you put all that money into it and it could still sit empty.
I don't think so.
If you put money into it for a small rental, I think that would get.
I think you're definitely gonna get rented.
We had, every time we advertised it, we had a ton of calls of people looking for residential.
Oh, okay, well, show what I know.
Find somebody to give us a price. on
Would-
taking
would you?
the building over there.
See what it'll take.
And you might wanna have Roger look at
Yeah,
it from a building
yeah.
code perspective.
Well, yeah,
for-
I mean, obviously Roger.
Why don't you offer it to them for storage right now? But no,
I mean, in the meantime, right, I mean,
Yeah, in the meantime, we'll
Oh,
offer
yeah.
it to him for
just
storage.
right now.
Yeah,
on a month-to-month basis.
yeah. until we figure out, but yeah, if you wanna, if you talk to Roger and look into it, I think it'd be a great idea, otherwise it's just sitting empty. I don't think anybody commercially is gonna come in and rent from there, and if they do, it's not gonna be very long. Cause why wouldn't they rent from up here, you know what I mean? So if we can make it into a viable living space, let's do it and make money, see how much it costs, obviously, first.
Yeah, so he's already under a commercial lease with the village, so we could amend it, for that purpose, but it had to be strictly for storage, but I still think it'd be a good idea to have Roger go through it. even
Yeah,
From
oh,
that
absolutely.
standpoint, this, because I'm not sure if you know, to view it for, it's different if it's just sitting there empty, but we have a tenant in there, then
Right,
there's other concerns.
right.
So say he moves out in 5 years, they're into a rental, where are all the people gonna park? Village takes that shed over. If somebody moves in there, 2 people, where do them vehicles go?
What's parking there?
There is no parking there.
Not much.
Ooh.
It's just outside. Maybe 3 cars.
Yeah.
A lot of them don't have much parking.
Huh?
A lot of them don't have much parking.
I mean, is there a place where we could put some parking or allow them to park somewhere?
I don't know where.
Had to get through their big trucks.
Maybe suggestion would be just to see if he's interested in doing it for storage only. He
Yeah,
wouldn't need any additional parking if it's just that,
right.
and meanwhile. the village
We'll
will make another
figure
offer.
something out.
So I will make the recommendation to the board that, I don't know if this is actually anyway, I'll make the recommendation that we, ask the gentleman if he would take it on as storage only, if not that we involve our, Roger in looking at it and,
Right,
I don't know, you know what I'm trying to say.
Are we gonna have Roger look at it anyway?
I think that's a separate thing, but I think she just.
No,
I
just
mean-
for safe, make sure even.
Oh, yeah.
Storage. I think.
Oh, no, oh, it's storage.
Board, okay.
So. If someone's interested in making a motion that you would make, that we would offer him that unit for storage only. But in the meantime, we will explore what would be required to make it.
I
Yeah.
will make that much more nicely worded, motion, so.
One thing we do, if we rent it to them, we have to put a doorway in, a door to. You know, there's no door to go
Oh,
to
there
the
is
back
no-
side of the apartment or the storage unit, so right now them two you could walk through and. On the bottom, we'd have to add a door.
Oh, so we have to put a door in,
But that would
To the
be
back.
relatively.
Is that a big deal?
Expensive.
Yeah,
not a super, okay.
Is this something that could come back? Like next month, or do you need to get in there right away?
well, he just seen, was thinking about it, and that's why he called the village to. ask.
As landlords, we should put a door in,
We should get a door in there, then if you were renting, we can lock that side up.
right,
From the back to the front, you're saying.
No,
from the side,
the side in front, there's the east and the west side in the front.
Yeah.
So you can, right now, there's a hallway. There's-
But no door.
There was a door, but they must have stuck it out.
well, it's not a big deal to put a door in,
Okay.
I think
Yeah.
it would be. Just so we can lock it, so he can't go on the other side.
right, and start sleeping,
Trying to renovate it for what?
got it. So basically, we're making the motion to, add 650 Main Street to the lease for an additional $300 a month for storage only.
Do we add to the same lease or make it do lease something?
Make an amendment to the.
Right. From our end, the question is, does he see this as long-term like this other business or not? I mean, if we put together an amendment under one lease, we can just modify it. We do a separate lease, but the access, everything, it probably makes sense to amend it because everything else with parking, that was all addressed in the first lease. This would just allow the additional
Mhm,
addresses
So
to 650
an amendment.
amendment to it.
okay. I need someone to second.
Who made the motion? Rose.
I'll second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
I,
Opposed? Motion passed. 6.6, approve joint EMS memorandum of understanding.
So originally, when the EMS program was being started, the municipality signed a memorandum of understanding about forming this exploratory committee. Now that the program is up and running, they've never amended that, and at the last EMS meeting, which got Teresa and I dropped the ball on notifying, we sent out a notice asking if they were available for that date, but when they sent the agenda, we were both out at a conference, it got dropped, so that's on us, it was not Fredonia's fault. With that being said, we have talked to Fredonia about, from now on, they're going to be directly communicating with all the committee members and notifying and going through the process, because it's too many hands in the pot.
Right, so whoever we put in charge, now Chris, they're going to
No.
go.
this is a
Oh.
different thing. This is
This
is
But the rest.
Chris and Dan and I.
Okay, but either way, they're still gonna just contact you guys?
So. Okay,
Okay,
that's not.
got it.
So with regard to this memorandum of understanding, they updated it. A few of the things that were significant, or the only real things that were important to note is that this does outline how the appointments to the committee will be done. And what they have asked is, and by the way, me and Chris basically drafted this, amended this, so I know what's in here. But anyway, in order to retain continuity on the committee, they're recommending that we appoint one person this year for a 1-year term and one for a 2-year term. Going forward, every year, we will appoint one member for 2 years. So we will always have a member on there when a new one is so in order to arrange this, because you guys are on opposite terms already, it works out really good. So basically what this does is it asks that, each community will appoint the members in April at the reorganization
Okay.
meeting, one per year for 2-year terms. And then every year, they will, the committee will appoint a new chair chosen from each municipality in a rotating schedule, basically.
Does the rotating schedule, does that affect the alternate?
That was something we did. None of the other committees
Oh,
have ever
okay.
had an alternate. This does not speak to an alternate. So if at one
So we can
point,
continue with an alternate if we so
You know,
chose, so.
Dan can go.
Hmm.
If one of you were to have to step down or
Right.
whatever, he could be appointed in their place, but this would basically. Be a formal appointment to the committee of just 2 people.
Where the buck stops.
Yeah, so. This memorandum of understanding has to be approved by the board first
Got
and
it.
foremost. And again, all this is doing is that the old agreement. No longer applied because it was about forming a committee to do an exploratory. This is now to create an outline of understanding on how this committee is going to work going forward.
Well, then I make the motion that we accept the memorandum of understanding as presented.
I'll second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any more discussion?
Is that you, Andy?
All in favor, say aye.
I,
Opposed, motion passed. Now we're gonna approve the appointment of EMS committee terms for Chris Clear through 4 of 2026 and Rose Sowers through 4 of 2027.
So this is basically amending our
Yeah.
appointment that we did last week to now put terms on it.
Yeah.
And these terms run consecutive with their board terms.
Correct.
I'll approve the appointment of the EMS committee terms for Chris and Rose. Seconded.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any more discussion? All in favor, say aye.
I,
Opposed, motion passed. 6.8, approve Public Works recommendation to publish a notice and post a sign at the recycle center that all boxes must be broken down before being put in the bin.
I'll make a motion to approve Public Works recommendation to publish a notice and post a sign at the recycle center that all boxes must be broken down before being put in the bin.
I'll second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion?
I'm sorry, I just.
Squirrel?
You're doing the job too right now.
Yeah, okay, who made the motion?
Chris
made the
made the
motion.
motion, I seconded,
Thank
Rose
you.
seconded, long overdue this,
All in favor, say aye. We did that, right? I'm sorry, I got lost. Motion passed. Jeez. That's ridiculous that we have to do that.
I think.
Yeah, that's why I'm laughing. 6.9, approve ordinance 04-25 amending 205-7 per recommendation of Public Works Committee.
So this ordinance amendment basically deals with the removal of trees and shrubs. The wording of our ordinance was unclear. It was confusing. So
Okay.
Brad has drafted this, changes to clarify that the dangerous, that the action the village would take would be to, deal with trees that are causing problems with village property, have a hazard to village property, not to anybody's property.
Not to just property in
Right.
general, just village property. Okay, got it.
I'll make a motion to approve the ordinance 4-25 amending state statute 205-7 per recommendation of the Public Works Committee.
I'll second.
Motion's been made and seconded.
Just a minor clarification, it's village statute, not state,
Oh,
Oh, yeah.
village
Thank you.
ordinance, sorry.
Village ordinance.
okay. Motion's been made and seconded. Now I forgot
Who
where I am.
seconded it?
I did.
Chris,
Yes, thank you.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
I,
Opposed? Motion passed. 6.10, introduce and approve resolution 03-25 compliance maintenance resolution.
It's just a yearly, basically the year in review at the treatment plant.
Yeah.
We got A's across the board.
A pluses?
Sure,
Just checking.
and they need a resolution number.
Oh,
It's the requirement of the report is that there is a village resolution, so we have to create a
Got it.
resolution every year. But resolutions do need to be introduced before they are motioned to approve.
so I have to introduce the resolution
Somebody
zero.
does.
Oh, someone does. I don't have to?
And
Okay. Well, I'll introduce the resolution 03-25.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution 3-25.
and I'll second the motion for 03-25.
That was a lot. Motion has been made and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed. 6.11, approved sewer truck purchase and over budget spending to add bumper crane / safety retrieval.
The truck came under budget, but we require specific bumper type cranes.
Yep.
To pull our pumps. And that was kind of shocking. We got bids from 2 different places and they were.
Ridiculous.
Higher than what Brian and I thought what they would be, but. We have a safety retrieval item right now, but it's old and it's probably out of compliance.
What did the truck come in under budget?
Well, the truck came in at 49,000.
Okay. And what did we budget?
Well, the total thing we budgeted was 60,000.
60,000, okay.
What did we approve last month?
so you approved us moving it up a year,
Right.
but they still had to get the bids and everything. So now that the bids are in, and because it is exceeding what was budgeted for next year, that's why it had to come back to the board again this month.
Well, I was confused because we only had one quote last month and now.
Well, we got,
This month.
we just, we moved on and got a second. They were, and they're both were, they were within, $300, but you all missed the brake controller. And we need the brake controller for that truck.
Oh, so that wasn't
Actually,
originally included in the bid.
Around
was
$60
standard.
difference.
Yeah, it looks like it's
It's not
$60.
standard
Really?
on that, not on that lower
Style.
package.
Yeah,
So if we would have went with I believe if we went like with the XLT package then it becomes a standard item.
gotcha.
And the bumper crane with braking equipment, they were between braking equipment and, the other company, they were relatively close, but braking equipment was just so much easier to deal with. So that's why we chose to go there, and then we needed around $1,000 for lighting in the toolbox and incidentals.
Who was the other company for the crane?
How was it? Braking.
Who was buying the sewer truck or the food truck?
Here's that.
USI.
Utility services operate.
Did you get the bid from them?
Yeah, but they were higher.
Okay.
Still nice to have a comparison too.
Yeah, but even if they were the same price, they were just,
Difficult to work with.
yeah.
Yeah.
Brian called it braking equipment and they were right there and. So that's where we sit.
So the bid does state for the bumper crane that there could be additional costs of a minimum of $500 for mounting. So the total with the two would be just over $65,000. My recommendation is that you approve up to not to exceed 66 if you choose to go forward, just in case there's a few additional fees. So
So the 14,260 doesn't include the installation?
It does,
it does,
Oh,
but there's special mounting brackets that they have to get custom cut. And that's where it could come to that extra monies.
it says on the bid, if the truck frame needs to be extended to accommodate
Yes.
proper mounting of a body hitch tailgate, a minimum of $500 will be added to the price. So it doesn't mean it will, it may need an additional.
It will.
Oh,
yeah.
I have a question.
Well,
This is not gonna matter regardless either way, but which one do you like better, the EBS or the E-Wall?
I would recommend EBS.
Is there any chance you can use the crane on the current truck right now? Switch it out since it's not that old?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I think he's the equipment are pretty vital.
Yeah, we use that. I mean,
You get called out in the middle of the night to pull a lift station pump it.
I would prefer, I mean, this isn't a showboat item. It's just. we
No.
need to create the create the perform, and now we're gonna go with a wireless remote with this new one because it was only a few $100s more. And the other night, Mike and I were pulling the pump and you bump into this where it's connected to the truck and now it's broken. I mean, it's just one of the things that happens, so. Plus all there's just a box where there's two solenoids sit and I opened it up and yeah, you could start seeing that it's showing 10 years old because it's all corroded.
Sure.
Are you planning on, you're not trading in the existing, you're gonna
That's,
sell it?
the truck will be a package deal, so that truck will come with that crane and the original crane that came with, or the original bumper that came with the truck, if that person so wants to.
Have that.
Yeah, no, what I'm
Yeah.
saying is your plan is to sell the existing?
Yeah,
I'm
As
not
is.
trading it in?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. And we're giving you the option to pick EBS or E-Wall, correct? We're giving them the option to do that.
Well, you can make the motion however you want, regardless of which one you go with. My recommendation is that you do a not to exceed 66,000.
Right, that's what I just, my question was, is do we have to, pick E-Wall or EBS? Like, that was my
EBS
question.
has the brake controller
yes,
that comes from the factory.
well, we had to put it in,
Oh, it's added.
so that was added
So
on,
it's in that quote.
yes, yes. So the brake controller will be definitely in the truck.
And you like the EBS better.
And if I remember back with it, when I bought the truck that we're driving right now. I had to add the brake controller after the fact, when it finally got delivered.
I was gonna ask, do you think there's anything else that may come up that the truck will need? Is 66 too low? Should we go for 70? I'm gonna see 70,000 just in case.
Just kidding.
Really.
I mean.
I know, you're right, though, you're right, you're right.
You know how quick money,
You got everything listed.
Yeah,
I mean,
Okay.
Brian and myself spent a bunch of time on that.
all right,
Got a toolbox in down there for
Yeah.
tools?
Yeah,
that's why I was
Yeah,
thinking,
that's in there,
It's
that's in
gonna
there
be
too.
incidental, there's lights and,
that's why I was
And,
thinking up to 70, just to.
No, I think you already got
sense
it all in there.
yeah, lights in a toolbox are gonna be,
maybe
we
it's
found a
first
light.
back.
They wanted to charge us, I think, $35.
Yeah, that's what you said last time.
For lighting, for warning lights, and Brian and I are gonna tackle that ourselves. So,
Is that 8-foot box or 6-foot box?
probably six,
3/4 ton?
yeah. Yeah, that would be too long with an 8.
All right, I'll make the motion to approve sewer truck purchase and over budget spending to add bumper crane safety retrieval. Not to exceed total cost of 66,000.
I'll second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any other discussion? Do we have to pick a EVS or Ewald, or can they let
Leave it
them?
up to DPW
Okay.
to decide, or you can say you want.
Nope. That's, I just wanted to check to make sure that we didn't have to
So-
specifically,
It's gonna be EVS and braking equipment,
okay,
so. That's the way I recommend.
You'll get a quicker turnaround from braking equipment.
It's still a long time.
Yeah,
Because it's just what it is, so we're just gonna have to hold on to this sewer truck. Because the truck probably will be delivered before the bumper will be here, so there's gonna be a time where we're gonna have an extra truck, you can't sell that truck without. Not having a crane,
So what's your ETA for the complete package being available?
and I'm thinking you're probably gonna be looking at close to November, December.
we'll have it completed this year though.
Yes.
When's the truck come? 2 months.
Whoa, right, yeah, the truck is about 2 months, but that, for some reason, that crane.
so you'll have to keep the other truck
Right,
on hand until you're able to get
Correct.
the shenanigans on
We
the
just park it,
bumper.
right? Just
Yeah.
park it till it's
Yeah.
done.
yeah,
Don't insure or nothing.
well, I think it's a smart thing to insure it.
But I'm just meaning, you're not selling it right away.
No.
Yeah, yeah.
We do with the boot trucks, I think,
Every year, over
Oh,
here.
it did?
Yeah.
Madam President.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded. Any more discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion pass.
Move to adjourn?
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Do we have any other discussion about adjourning? All in favor, say aye.
All right.
Aye.
Opposed?